Its jaw unhinges completely. Not partially. Completely. The mouth opens wider than the rest of the animal's body, and the animal is fine with that. In November 2015, an ROV operated by the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute descended to 900 meters below the Pacific surface. The water at that depth is just above freezing. No light, no sound except the low hum of thrusters. Then, caught in the forward beam, a gulper eel, jaw wide open, pouch inflated to a near-perfect sphere. The creature's scientific name is Eurypharynx pelecanoides. It was first formally described in 1882, based on specimens hauled up during the HMS Challenger expedition, the first systematic survey of the deep ocean floor. Sailors who pulled those nets had no category for what they were looking at. In 1887, naturalist Albert Gunther wrote in the official Challenger report, "The mouth is of enormous size, and the jaws can be opened to an extent which would allow the fish to swallow prey considerably larger than itself." He wrote that sentence. Then he presumably sat with it for a moment. The jaw is not a jaw in any conventional sense. It is a hinged gate, unmoored from the skull's normal constraints, attached to a pouch of elastic membrane that expands like a pelican's throat. Hence the name. The body behind it is thin as a cable. The jaw is longer than everything else combined. But nobody expected this. Most specimens recovered have had empty stomachs. Nearly empty. The esophagus behind that enormous mouth is narrow and rigid. It cannot pass prey much wider than the eel's own body diameter. Theodore Payoff at the University of Washington cataloged this in his 2009 taxonomic revision of the Eurypharyngiformes order. The anatomy does not match the assumed function. The weapon does not fit the crime. So what is the jaw actually for? That question has no clean answer. The researchers at MBARI, who captured that 2015 footage, began to suspect the jaw's real purpose had been misread from the beginning. There is a specific footage event in MBARI archive, logged to a precise depth, a precise canyon, where the gulper eel's jaw did something its own biology did not anticipate. That record changes the predator story entirely. Here is the standard explanation. The gulper eel evolved a massive jaw because food is scarce at depth. A passive ambush tool, wide open, waiting for whatever drifts close. Simple. Logical. Almost every ichthyology textbook says some version of this. It is also incomplete. Theodore Payoff's 2009 taxonomic revision of Eurypharyngiformes at the University of Washington documented something the passive ambush model quietly ignores. The jaw's musculature is not passive at all. The hinge articulates. The pouch expands under active muscular control. This is not a net left open in a current. Something is operating it. Then there is the tail. At the opposite end of the animal, a bioluminescent organ pulses pink red. Slow, deliberate. Tracy Sutton's 2017 Gulf of Mexico survey noted the organ moves in patterns inconsistent with passive drift. Patterns suggest signaling. Active signaling in the dark, at depth. An ambush tool does not need to advertise. Stomach content analysis deepens the problem. Most collected specimens have nearly empty stomachs. Not partially full. empty. And the specimens that do contain prey show something stranger. Fast-moving crustaceans, deep-sea shrimp, animals that do not drift, animals that swim hard and change direction. A passive jaw does not catch a fast shrimp. There is one more structural fact that the textbook model cannot absorb. The gulper eel's esophagus is relatively narrow. The jaw opens wider than the body, but the throat behind it does not scale to match. Physically, swallowing prey much larger than its own body diameter is nearly impossible. The mouth promises something the anatomy cannot deliver. So this is not a simple ambush filter. It is an active precision system. Lures strike grip. The recurved teeth lining the interior of the pouch are not passive membrane. They hold, which forces a sharper question. If the jaw is precision engineered for active predation, why does its design also contain a catastrophic failure mode that can strand the animal completely helpless in open water? Here is what Chapter 2 got wrong. The gulper eel is not a passive ambush predator. It does not hang in the dark with its mouth open, waiting. That picture is incomplete. What Reinhardt and colleagues documented in their 2020 behavioral analysis of MBARI footage changes the architecture entirely. The attack is two-stage. First, the tail. That bioluminescent organ at the tip, small pink pulsing, draws prey in close. A copepod, a small crustacean, something curious enough to drift toward light in total darkness. The tail is the lure. The mouth is the trap. Then the jaw fires. Not swings open. Fires. The expansion is explosive, under half a second. Flat pouch to full sphere. And here is the mechanism nobody expected. The rapid expansion creates a pressure differential. The water rushes inward. The prey does not need to be seized. It is vacuumed in, along with everything surrounding it. Tracy Sutton, documenting gulper eel ecology in the Gulf of Mexico in 2017, noted that specimens almost never show large prey in their stomachs. The jaw is enormous. The esophagus behind it is narrow. The math does not add up for swallowing something 10 times the eel's mass, because the stretch is not in the stomach. It is in the pouch. A holding chamber. A pressure vessel. The stomach tissue is elastic. Yes, but the real engineering is hydraulic, which reframes everything. This is not a mouth evolved to eat large things. It is a mouth evolved to generate force. Vacuum force in an animal barely wider than a human finger. Hold that image. A mechanism that operates on pressure differentials in open water at 200-300 meters of depth. What happens when the eel fires that mechanism and there is nothing there to absorb it? November 2004. A remotely operated vehicle from the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute descends into Monterey Canyon, past 2,000 meters, past the last trace of filtered light, into water that is 4 degrees Celsius and absolutely still. At 347 meters, the ROV's camera finds something. A gulper eel, Eurypharynx pelecanoides, 60 centimeters long, hovering in the black water. Then, in under 2 seconds, its jaw inflates. Not opens. Inflates. The pouch expands into a near-perfect sphere, wider than the animal's entire body length. No prey triggered it. Nothing is there. The eel stops swimming immediately. For 3 minutes and 51 seconds, it drifts. Tail lure dark. Body rigid. The inflated pouch catches the ROV's light like a pale balloon, pulling the animal's head downward, making any controlled movement impossible. The instrument overlay on the footage does not change. Depth 347 meters. The eel simply hangs there, incapacitated by its own anatomy. Then slowly, the pouch collapses. The thin profile returns. The tail begins to move. The eel swims away from the camera, back into the dark, unremarkable again. Reinhardt et al., publishing in 2020, examined this event directly. Their proposed explanations: a threat display, or a misfired inflation response following a failed strike. Neither has been confirmed. The mechanism remains unresolved. The jaw that evolved over millions of years to swallow anything became, in that one documented moment, a trap. The predator became the drifting object. The weapon became the wound. That is the record, filed exactly as observed. The deep ocean does not always reward its own solutions.